3, 2, 1.
We'd like to welcome you to another edition of Grok Talk, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, granitegrok.com. We are your feared extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you could only get from granitegrok.com.
Grok Talk.
I have in my formerly nicotine-stained fingers the latest Liberty rating, and we're going to talk about that with Paul Best, who's joined us to let you know who will be on the program today. Before we start with Paul, Darlene Pollack from Right to Life, John Burt from the New Hampshire House. We're going to talk about ballot selfies. Yay! Haggie Masson couldn't make it today. We'll get into that perhaps a little later. And John Judas from National Journal will be joining us. But we're not going to waste any time talking about that stuff. You can check us out on Facebook and Twitter, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeart, YouTube, and Ustream. But we want to talk to Paul. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
All righty. Well, liberty's a great subject. We love the idea. We love the concept. In practice, it's a lot harder because you have these nasty things called politicians and governments that get in your way. But to aid and abet the advance of liberty, we have the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance and this wonderful document known as the Liberty Alliance Liberty Rating. And this has been coming out for years, and we like to reference it, and I'd like to thank you for bringing it.
Hey, that actually helps you.
It makes me look a lot better, I got to be honest. You can leave it there the whole show. I have no problem with that.
No, that's not happening.
All right, so let's talk very briefly for people who don't know about the process of creating this wonderful thing. It's been going on for years, and then we'll talk about the people in it.
Yeah, so it begins actually with looking at 800 to 1,000 bills that these legislators create every year. And, of course, we have I think it's a good thing. We have a lot of state reps in New Hampshire, 400 of them, so they're really average people. But one of the I don't know if it's a drawback to that is that they can create as many bills as they want. So we end up with a lot of bills every year. And we look through those bills. We have volunteers who look through those bills and identify the ones that are really important from a liberty perspective. Then we focus on those bills for going and testifying in Concord, and also for creating the gold standard, which is our weekly list of voting recommendations, which we're handing out. This year, we've always handed it out in the House. This year, we added the Senate as well. And then those are the basis for the Liberty rating. So we look at the roll calls. The roll call vote is where the legislators will, there's a record of the votes for the legislators. There's also voice votes. Sometimes they'll vote and we don't really have a record of where they stand on the issue. But when there's a roll call, we have a record of how each legislator voted. And when there's a roll call on a bill that was on the gold standard, then that's a bill that we use for the Liberty rating. So this year we have 50 bills that we've used for the Liberty rating. Wow. And right on the document it lists what those bills are. That's on page 2. And then, of course, we did the same thing in the Senate. In the Senate, there's, I believe, 24 bills thereabouts, and that's on page 11.
And then on page II, the dereliction of duty, folks. And immediately I saw that 2 of my reps from Belknap County made the list, David Russell and Don Flanders. Yee-haw. David Russell missed 90% of the votes, and Don Flanders missed 78% of the votes. And, I've been urged to run for rep over and over and over again, and I work. I'm the sole breadwinner in my family, and I have to work. Some people have said, well, just deny a Democrat a seat and just run anyways. And it's like, I can't do that. Apparently because I'd never be able to vote. And apparently these 2 nitwits have no problem doing just that. Oh, I'm a state rep. Yeah, state rep in name only.
Yeah, I mean I guess that's the other side of it. I suppose if somebody's holding his seat, that if somebody's going to show up and vote the wrong way, that would be even worse. But yeah, these are representatives who have missed at least 70% of the votes that we scored. So,
are there mitigating circumstances?
I was going to say, because isn't Susan DeLemus with her wounded husband?
Her husband was.
Yeah, and there can be mitigating circumstances. We actually discussed that, whether to take that into account or to what degree to take that into account. The thought is that if you can't make the votes, then you really should resign. That's been the historical position of the NHLA.
With that. I wouldn't
and so
disagree with that.
we decided once we get into that and we start saying, well, this person has a good reason. Well, what about this reason that's almost as good? Well,
yeah, then you become an organization with a phone and a pen, and we don't want to go there.
I mean, usually she has been a good vote for liberty in the past. But yeah, I looked at that and went, holy crap, really? And then I remembered her husband was severely injured falling off of her roof and really has had a hard time.
Yeah.
But you do need a standard, and you do need a law to follow, and everybody needs to follow it, and that makes perfect sense.
But an asterisk and a footnote doesn't void your standards, which I agree. Standards are standards. Yep. You can't keep making just tons of exceptions.
Do you think there's any, and this might in any way, because the Senate is renowned for voice votes. They don't like roll calls, and anybody who tries to make roll calls more frequently than they would like to agree with tends to discover that they get absolutely nothing accomplished because they get shut down by everybody else in the Senate who doesn't want to do roll calls.
It's a big problem. You're absolutely right. And that's one thing we really wish we could have is more roll calls in the Senate, because so many pieces of important legislation that we really want to grade people on. We have no record of how people voted, and that's one thing I would really hope that senators who are sitting senators would consider, and any new senators that are elected, to really give people a record of how people. I think people deserve a record of how senators are voting on issues.
I've never spent any time in the Senate, which is probably good, but I'm just wondering if there's a way that you could put people in that chamber who could take lots of notes, Well,
it's all
about voice votes.
Videoed,
yeah,
certainly.
That's true.
And
I know it's a lot of work.
There's generally at least one camera from who's those guys down in Nashua that I think is that are generally there filming. Not Bill, of course, but there's an outfit I think out of Nashua that is independent.
Granite State Progress is generally there, I would imagine.
They don't. Well, I don't know.
Not that they'd be friendly to us.
No, they're not. But there is a video and audio recording now. Whether you can read lips or not, I don't know. But there is that. But who's got the time to?
The amount of time that's invested just to create this.
Self-flagellation.
Videoing is one thing, but man, figuring out
and the gold standard.
Reading lips to figure that out on the bills would be that would be challenging, but it would be great to really know on some of these key bills. I think somebody did that actually on that decriminalization bill. I saw there was a video of the voice vote. That was actually an interesting procedure to listen to, how that went. The original committee recommendation was ITL, and then the committee recommendation was overturned, and there was discussion and amendments, and I think some finagling as there is in the Senate, and people who opposed the bill managed to amend it so that it wasn't palatable to a majority of the senators, and then it went down. And somebody actually did make a video in that case of the voice vote. I believe it was to table it and kind of try to read people's lips and see how they had voted.
Wouldn't it be fun, though, to take some of those videos and do voiceovers like they do with that great...
with the Hitler version?
Yes, and have them up there and just lay in the video and
let me tell you, I can't tell you how many times I wish I had the time to use PowerPoint to make videos, little cartoony videos of New Hampshire Democrats doing what they do, and making fun of the stuff they do. I picture Maggie running over, old people and stuff when she cuts the budget for nursing homes and things like that. That just takes hours and hours and hours.
I know.
I barely have enough hours for this. So, but yeah, that is a huge project. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and continue the conversation. Stay tuned. This is Grok Talk. I am Steve McDonald here with Skip Murphy and our guest Paul Best, and of course Susan Olson at the end of the table. We'll be right back.
Grok Talk comes to you live almost every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, granitegrok.com. You can also listen live at Spreaker.com. If you missed a live show, catch up with the podcast at granitegrok.com, Spreaker.com, on Stitcher Radio, at iTunes, TuneIn, or iHeartRadio, and now on The Rock, New Hampshire's Christian radio station, therocknhcr.com. Grok Talk is a mobile-ready broadcast, so you can listen anywhere, anytime, on your PC, laptop, tablet, or smartphone.
Grok Talk.
Hi, this is Rich Gerard, host of Gerard at Large in the Morning. the Manchester area's only locally owned, locally operated, focused, and interested riveting radio show, heard live every Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 on 90.7 FM WLMW, New Hampshire Family Radio, and available 24/7 live or archived at GerardAtLarge.com. Be sure to tune in.
Rock